Welcome to White Talk. Happy Tuesday, Marie. How are you?
Oh, girl, I am living the dream. I am living the dream. I'm tired, but I am living the dream because I opened my eyes this morning and it was a beautiful day.
Yes, yes, honey. Living the dream. I love it. I love it. And I'm like you. I don't know if y'all heard, but honey, this weekend was the Queendom Behavior premiere. And when I say that your girl is tired, I really could probably go to sleep and wake up next Tuesday and start out fresh. You hear me? Because it was
Listen,
just
you
that
guys,
good.
I'm so glad we're live today. You guys, I had an opportunity to attend this event, and baby, let me tell you. First of all, these queens came through. When I tell you, what is the song? Look good, smell good, everything good, baby. They had, listen, diamonds, sequins, fancy long dresses, sashaying, honey. This this was a movement, okay? And the view of your new show, oh my God, I was amazed. I didn't catch everything, but listen, what I saw was amazing. Shout out to all of the queens on Queen of Behavior. Of course, your one and only A Love, but you got Terry Y. Hicks, you got the one and only Dior, the lovely Regina Huff. I mean, oh my God, and no one can forget Dr. Sparkle, honey, because she was sparkling
Baby, was she not?
mentally and
Yes.
physically, baby. She was going. So I'm so proud of you guys. Seriously, you did a phenomenal job putting on these events. Everything was just, it was perfect. And it was good to see a lot of people get together, singles and married couples, all and coming out to celebrate each other. And that was super. And I love it. Your team did a great job. You guys did a good job. So shout out to you because that was like something in the making. And look, K Marie is on. Shout out to
I
Hype Me
know,
Up,
right?
K
I'm
Marie.
like, baby,
Okay.
the
'Cause
hype me
she
up
was
queen
starting
herself. She came on and really set the mood for people coming through the door, set the tone as she always does. So super shout out to her for, doing
right.
what she does best. Anybody need anybody to come through and host an event, to be the media coverage, to do anything like that, holla at your girl Keisha K. Marie Spencer, because I'm telling you that each and every time she knocks it out the box. You hear me? I'm telling you, she looked amazing. She got some great coverage. Y'all seen any of the pictures, the videos? That is all compliments of Keisha K. Marie Spencer. So make sure you reach out to her because she is the one, honey. Make sure you get her to take your event to the next level because she was
Absolutely.
able to do that for us. And so we love you so much. Thank you so much for showing up for us. S. Marie, thank you and your hubby for coming through and
Oh
letting us embrace in the place because, it was always good to see you guys. But
my
y'all know tonight we're talking about wife talk and we get ready to bring on our
heart.
special guest
Yes.
because for those of you who don't know, we are doing an anthology. It is Hot Wife, Hot Life. And so, with that being said, we've been bringing on some of the authors, and this little piece of hair is about to drive me crazy. Here go Keisha talking about, not y'all hyping me up. Yes, baby, yes, honey, we got to hype up the hype
We
girl.
gotta
Hey,
hype
let
up the
them
hype up,
know who
please.
they need to get. But yes, so we have a special guest on, one of the co-authors of this anthology, and I'm so excited because y'all got to meet some of the ladies already. But this one in particular, honey, she
Hmm.
is a superstar. She's out in these streets doing big things. I love this. She made a post earlier today about, I don't know what your April is look like, but this is what mine looks like, and it was
Yes.
full of so many opportunities, from podcasts to articles, to different things. She's just all over the place doing all kind of things, making an impact. So I don't want to hold it too long, but I want to bring Miss Maryann on here. Boom.
I'm beautiful.
Hello, hello. Good evening.
How
Thank
are
you
you?
so much. We are so excited to have you here on the Wife Talk platform. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been wait. I've been waiting. I've been waiting. So I'm excited.
Would you
Good.
say it's my turn now?
Right. She was like, they did it, but now I'm here. and,
Yeah.
and listen, let's just go full throttle because backing up what Ann just said, you made a post. I thought I was the queen of April, but I wasn't that great, obviously, because when you came with this post today and I took a look, I said, now that's how you represent what you do in a month, okay?
Yes, what you say,
Like,
no
hey,
stone unturned. I'm telling you, you had numerous opportunities to really get out there. And
yes.
what I love is because this month we kicked off the Empowered Authors group. And so you were part of that. But that's one of the things, reasons why, because although I publish books for people, the big thing for me is once it's published, what do you do? And as an author,
Right.
you know, as having your own show, you really let people know how to get that visibility, how to get
Mhm.
out there, get your name known, you know, let people know what your thoughts are, you know, in terms of different topics. And so you've been very strategic about how you move. And so I want you to first and foremost share with everybody who you are, what you do, but then let's talk about strategy and how you have really positioned yourself to be known out in these virtual streets.
Awesome. So, yeah, so my name is Maryann Rivera-Dannert. I am a certified life coach. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm an author. I've co authored 13 books and working on four more that will be out sometime this year. I'm also working on my own solo project. I'm also the visionary of a couple of anthologies myself, and I'm also the creator and host of the podcast Fearless Fridays with Maryann that comes out every Friday. And what else? Married, have three children, have some granddaughters. And by day, I'm an operations and HR director for a local nonprofit. But my passion is serving women, working with women, and helping them to rediscover their voice.
Ooh,
Mm,
that is, oh my gosh.
yes.
Yeah.
That helping someone find their voice. You know how important that is? Sometimes we feel like we've lost our voice. We lose our sense of self. And to know that there's someone out there ready to just pour into us and help us regain what we feel that we've lost. Shout out to you for that. That is remarkable. I love that.
Thank
How,
you.
how did
Thank
that come
you.
about? Tell me. I'm curious now. Tell the world watching, how did you come up with that wonderful concept? Because that's not something that you hear every day.
So, long story short, and then there's more, to it. It started out, I used to have girls get togethers every month, girlfriends at my house, and we would just be talking about life. And I
Mm,
started noticing that a lot of the issues that we had were things that we all had in common, but we
Mm,
didn't talk to anyone else about it. We felt that we were struggling with these things on our own, that we were by ourselves. So
right.
I went from being a photographer to becoming a certified life coach, and it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. Are there individuals that will hire me to be their coaches? There's individuals that will listen to the podcast. And that came about because my reach, I wanted to just be worldwide.
yeah.
My mission is to see women worldwide from coast to coast live a free, fearless, and fabulous life. So coaching, you can only get so far, books so far. Spoke to a mentor of mine. He helped me start my podcast, and that has just taken off. And I think that for me, the underlying reason that I, went on this path is because I didn't have that role model. I didn't have that positive woman in my life that I could turn to for advice.
Mm,
Even as a teenager, someone that I can look up to and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. What suggestions do you have? Or, as an adult, I'm going through this. What recommendations, have you dealt with this? How did you overcome it and things like that? Because I feel that, again, if you start talking about divorce, most likely there's a lot of people that's been divorced. Talk
Mhm.
about abortions, talk about sexual abuse, talk about bankruptcy, debt, and so forth. We feel that when we're going through the midst of something that we are alone.
Yeah.
mm,
And whether it's shame, society, our upbringing, we hold all that in and that keeps us stuck.
mm.
So, wanting to become that person for somebody else, that light to just help push the next woman forward. Hey, boo, that was my husband.
I know.
Um,
Listen, just let you know he is supporting.
Shout out, hubby.
Wanting to become that light for another woman is what has kept me going. That's like my biggest why.
Wow, I love that. Your word, light. That's deep. You
Yeah.
know, some people, you know, we need to feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel, or, you know, we are a beacon of light, right? That's how we were created. And, you know, sometimes we are just not shining the way we need to shine, or the way we can shine or should shine. And to know that, again, you're out there, you know, giving people the voice, like I said earlier, that they thought they lost, but to know that there are people who are going through the same thing. Often we think we are alone in this world, like, oh, you didn't experience the way I did, or you don't understand. We do. We just don't talk about it because, you know, the old days are, oh, you know, what happens in your house stays in your house. You got to keep it quiet. You can't, you know, you can't let too many people in your business. There's just certain things that you don't want people in the midst of. Your marriage is one of those things. Your marriage is your business unless it's a professional. But, you know, when you're going through things personally, we tend to shy and bow out and feel that we can't, you know, talk about it. And you never know who that friend or that mentor is that's going to get you over that hump and, you know, pull you while you push them up. So, again, to hear that you have this vision and you're just putting it into action. So, I just love that. Any woman listening to this, you're going through something, listen, connect with Maryann. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity for people who just feel like there's nowhere to turn, and it just lets them know, lets us all know that there is somewhere to turn and someone to turn to. So I just hats off to you. That's I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
So, Marianne, let's talk about, the Hot Wife, Hot Life anthology. Let's start first and foremost because y'all know, let's just put it out there. For a lot of people, when they pull up the terminology hot wife, it
Mm,
has a different connotation. And so, we were talking about it because it really even challenged me, to think, should we even change the name of the group? Because, you don't want people to perceive you in a different way, right? You want people to get it, but at the same time, it also makes you not want to change it because you want to let people know what bring a different meaning to what people
mm,
standardly think. So for those of you who don't know, hot wives are supposed to be wives who are out here in these streets and their husbands are well aware, but they are having extramarital affairs or they're having intercourse with other people and their husband is quite fine with it. Now, that's not the hot wives we're talking about, but Marianne, I
Right.
know that that was a topic of conversation that came up for you. So can you share a little bit about what your thoughts were and how you shared that and how you just kind of still decided that even with knowing that I'm still going to be a part and represent what me being a hot wife is.
And it's interesting because the flyer that you sent me about today, I posted it, I shared it in a WhatsApp group with some friends
Mhm.
that I'm on. And my one friend said, Marianne, what are you doing? Do you know what that means? And I said, this is not hot wifing. This is hot wife, hot life. So at first, when I first heard the term, I was the one that brought it up, and then all the other
Mhm.
ladies started looking it up and things like that. And for
right.
me, it was all about education.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know. And if we had only heard that one negative term, because it's a negative term,
Right.
and just go with the flow, okay, but we are hot wives and we are living a hot life because we are confident, we are strong, we are secure, we are successful, we are living in marriages, we are doing the hard work because the wedding is the fun part. Now, the real work is in the marriage.
And
Yes.
So it's like, it's all about education for me. So I was like, no, I think we should. I was one of the ones that voted, yes, let's stick with the name and
Hmm.
use it to educate people.
I love that perspective. I'm glad that you voted that because again, A Love had a vision. And sometimes we're often afraid to, you know, offend people, or we think, you know, hey, people won't perceive it the way that we, you know, we want them to. And just the fact that you're like, no, keep it what it is. And the fact that you were able to tell a friend, hey, no, this isn't what this is about. Let me educate you because I've been educated and this is a positive hot wife, hot life. Because when I first heard it, I was like, okay, A Love, like, wait a minute, what? But again, it is, we are, and you know, a lot of us in this group are entrepreneurs, authors, People who are watching this show, whether you're, you have your own business or you're working in corporate America, again, you are living your best life. You are out here in this world just doing it big, experiencing things and, working towards your success. And to hear you, correct someone or say, hey, no, let me enlighten you. This is what it's about. I love it. And we appreciate that. Because that's the kind of mindset that we want people to have. It's not about negative. It's not about, out here committing sins or doing anything bad. No, it's representing for yourself and everything that you are doing that's positive in this world. And I want you to, kind of explain a little more. You use the word strategy and strategic. And with that being said, you have your own business and you said you also work in corporate America. So A Love and I always ask people this question: how do you balance that as a wife and a mother and you're a grandmother as well? Shout out to you for that. I am too. So yeah, tell us how you balance this wonderful hot life that you're living as an author, a business owner, and employee as well. So tell us how you're living this hot life out here.
Yes, definitely. So for me, it actually started years ago. I want to say, I think it was like 2014 when I was getting my undergraduate degree. And we did a exercise on identifying what our values are.
Yes.
And for me, I mean, my top 10 values, there's several of them, but my top three values have always consistently been in the top five: freedom, happiness, and
Mm.
community. So to me, when it comes to juggling, the different aspects of my life, for me right now, my 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, it's what's fueling my passion, which is
Mm.
my business, MRD Empowerment Solutions. So I give 100% because that's
Yes.
paying the bills right now.
Right.
And when it comes to my podcast, I record every other Tuesday or Wednesday every other week. So one week I do Tuesdays from 6 to 8. The following week is Wednesdays from 6 to 8. It's on my calendar, it's on my schedule. But then there are certain months that I just take the whole month off from doing my podcast because, again, that balance that I need.
Mm.
I set on my calendar my day nights with my husband, and those are non negotiable. Sometimes I do have to switch the day because something major is happening, but it's still going to happen. My
Right.
time with my friends is my time with my friends, and I just make that commitment. And I try to save like Sundays for if something happens to see the grandkids and things like that. Um, but I think it's important that, when we take on different projects or invitations and things like that, that we some way backwards work them into, do they align with our values? Because for me, if something is not going to create or lead to my freedom, happiness, or has to do with community, and for me community is friends, family, relationships, my clients, my answer is going to be no, and I don't apologize for it. The answer is no, and that's it. And
Absolutely.
if something is on my calendar and somebody else invites me to something,
Yeah.
it could be my like most favorite person in the entire world. If something is already on my calendar, I appreciate you. I thank you. I am booked. Do you have another opportunity? Because I've made that commitment to that one group. So I think it's all about balance. And then also, there are days, there are weeks, there are months that is all about me. I need to have my self care. Self care is a priority,
Yeah.
whether it's I decide to just stay in the bed all day and just
Yes.
watch Netflix or read, whatever. I need that me time.
I love that.
Me too. And
And go ahead, Ayla. I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. I was getting ready to say, I think for so many women, a lot of times when you start thinking about self care, they feel guilty if they take some time to just stay in the bed and watch Netflix or, just take some time off. But I want to say it's time for us to start looking at that differently, just how we look at hot wife and what it means. Switch how you see that because sometimes you need a mental health day. Sometimes you just need I'm not doing anything but me day. If I don't want to talk on the phone, I'm not. If I don't want to get up and wash clothes, I'm not. And guess what? It's not the end of the world. A lot
Right.
of times we feel like, oh, we're doing a disservice and we feel like we gotta be popping and going and moving and doing. And we burn out ourselves with
Mhm.
life, just like you burn out on a job when they are have you doing so many things and you get a burnout on the job. Your life can be the same way if you don't prioritize your time for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, and I hope women can really start getting the fact that we talk about self-care so much, but again, it's people who talk about it but they never or very rarely do it. And it's essential. Like it should be on the top of your list of, let me make sure I prioritize me, because if you're not good, then guess what? Everybody else
Right.
in the household is not going to be good.
Right.
Your community that you serve or the people that love you, they're not going to be good if something happens to you because you don't prioritize you. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I think that opens up something different for women to realize it's okay. It is
Right.
okay to do absolutely nothing. It's okay.
Yes, and to say no. I love the fact that you said, "Hey, what's on my calendar is on my calendar. Give
Mhm.
me another opportunity to, take you up on that offer at another time, but this moment is already taken." And we often feel bad. And you're like, "No, it's non-negotiable." There are non-negotiables, but sometimes we question ourselves because we want to make everyone happy, and it just causes confusion, but we bring that upon ourselves. And the fact that you are confident and you're like, no, this is my commitment and I'm sticking to it. That's impressive, because a lot of us like, oh, well, how can I make this work? And how, what can I do? And we fall short. Someone gets hurt, someone gets upset, and at the end of the day, if we would have just done exactly what you do, which is, hey, I'm already busy. Catch me next month, catch me next week. I love that. And the fact that you set a time for your grandkids, like as a grandmother, that is major. I have three granddaughters and I love them and I love to see them, call them, talk to them. And the fact that you're like, hey, this is my husband's time, this is my grandkid time, this is my time, and you have that and it's consistent, because that's what we don't do. We may do it, oh, I'm gonna do it this month, but these next 2 months I'm too busy. No, Maryann is like, hey, this is my time. These are the days that I do what I do, and it's gonna stay this way. And that's what we need to learn, consistency. And I think that helps us go a lot further. We succeed more, we improve because we're being consistent.
And I think it's important too for our listeners to, get a hold of something. When we say yes to things that we really don't, somebody invites you to do something, whether it's to attend an event or be a part of something, there's a voice, there's a feeling that immediately hits you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But more often than not, you ignore that feeling because you don't want to let that person down. And at
mm,
the end of the day, you are letting yourself down. And
absolutely.
one of the things that I teach my clients, one of the things that I have even spoken to one of my children about, is that people, places, and things will always be, they will be here 1 minute and they could be gone the next.
Next.
The relationship with yourself needs to be a priority above any other relationship
Hmm.
next to your higher power.
Right.
Because again, spouses, something can happen, whether it's death, divorce, separation, a job. You could
Yeah.
be fired, laid off, promotion, you're moving on. Anything can happen, but the relationship with yourself, that is going to be the one constant thing. So learn how to prioritize you, learn how to make yourself happy, and stop worrying about hurting other people's feelings, because more often than not, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, no problem. I'll see you next week or something like that.
Mhm.
Right. All while having your husband's support, because I did see that he joined. So shout out to hubby again that,
Yes.
he's helping you keep yourself honest and keeping you happy and successful. And he goes along with this plan. And I'm sure he does the same thing. But the fact that you're doing it together and you're supporting each other that's amazing as well. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, for 4.5 years, we actually did our podcast together.
Oh,
And I would record the podcast, I would send it to him, and he was like my producer, putting the music and things like that. And this April, beginning of the month, I actually joined collaboration with Jazz Cast Pros. So I'm under her network now. So
okay.
she's now the producer. So he's like, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay, I have to figure something out to keep you,
Right, right. Give him
busy and
another
things like
job
that.
now.
but it's
Go
such a
ahead,
beautiful thing.
Mariann.
It's such a beautiful thing, like as Marie was saying, because that was one of the things I was going to mention for a lot of women who may not have that spousal support. What
Yeah.
would you say, Marianne? Because I think a lot of women sometimes, are doing things and they just feel like, I just wish my husband would support me. I just wish my husband
Yeah.
would, just kind of be a part of what I'm doing. For those people who don't have that, what would you tell them?
Mm,
The first thing I'm just gonna say is that I feel that I am beyond blessed when it comes to my husband, because he supports my craziness and any which way direction. He knows that if I want to do something, I'm just having the conversation, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And that wasn't always the case. And I think, but when it comes to a spouse that you may feel is not, as supportive, I think it's just having that conversation.
right.
To me, conversation solves any issue. So it's
Yeah.
like having the conversation. I sense some resistance. Can you help me understand? And just work through those things, because it could be that you have 100 things going and none of them is sticking, and he just sees you flushing money and wasting time and being hurt. So it's like
Mm,
just having that conversation. This is something that I'm truly passionate about. I would love for you to, be on board with me. I can usually, I can use your support in X, Y, and Z. And I think sometimes too, it's finding out if it's something that they would like to be a part of.
mhm.
Because if it's really not, something that they want to be interested in,
Mhm.
don't force them, because again, you're going to end up being miserable. You're going to be miserable. He's going to be miserable. And your project, venture, whatever you're trying to work on, it's not going to be successful because that tension and that negativity is there. So I think just, again, sitting down and just asking that question, I sense that something is off. Can you help me understand? Don't make it accusatory. Don't make them feel bad. Don't, immediately get him on, to be defensive. So just asking that question, that you're just being curious,
Mm,
and then see if there's some legitimate concerns there. And if there are, again, seek his guidance.
mm,
What plan, how can we work on this together? Because
right.
this is something that I'm truly passionate about. Can you, help support me? Let's give this 3 months, 6 months, a year, and
Mm,
let's agree to have some type of check-in points. And if something is not working out, then we can just have that conversation again. And it may be the conversation that, okay, this is not working out. It's time to nix the project and move on to the next thing.
absolutely.
That's great
Sound
advice.
communication.
Yeah.
Great advice. I think sometimes we get so stuck in wanting things our way. But again, just having a conversation, because a lot of times, you just kind of wanted things your way. They want to get their point across. You want to get your point across, and nobody's really compromising. But if you can have a conversation, really get down to the root of why you want to do what you do
Right.
and what are the pros, what are the cons, and kind of line it up. Then, like you say, especially if you can agree to say, okay, well, hey, let's just try this for a period of time. I see, and so many people are tuning in. Thank y'all so much for coming on. I see Lakeisha said effective expression and communication. That is
Absolutely. Yes.
definitely important. And I think the emphasis on effective, because you can have conversations that are not effective, conversations where,
Mm,
you get in your feelings, because we're going to do that. We're human. Sometimes, you're in your feelings and you feel like nobody's understanding where you're coming from.
Right.
But you got to figure out a way to articulate that so
yes.
that it opens up a door where everybody's heard, and then you can come together and make a mutual decision that's going to benefit the household. Because
Correct.
again, we say hot wife, hot life, but they also say happy spouse, happy house. So we got to make sure that whichever way the ball flows, that it is something that you're coming together, because it's a union. So it's not about a dictatorship, or it's one person's way all the time. You have to compromise. And sometimes, that means sitting back and saying, I may not agree, but hey, I'm going to support you in what you do. And then, we revisit it and see if it's working out. And if it's not, then be the bigger person and say, okay, you know what? You were right. And I may have had to learn the hard way. I may have had to go and bump my head a little bit, but now that I have, and that right there really is growth, because y'all know how they talk about failure. People a lot of times don't want to fail. It's not a failure. It's just you being able to get information that teaches you how to move forward better, because you learn. It's lessons learned. And so even in relationships, there are lessons learned. And sometimes we mess up, but you learn the lesson and then you move on and hopefully get better as time progresses.
That is so true, A Love, because people often I had this conversation at work the other day, and they're like, "Oh, I made a mistake." No, you had an opportunity to learn something. That's what that was. It was an opportunity, because next time if you do it, you know what not to do. So now you have an opportunity to take a different action than one you took the first time. So it's, again, we have to look at, they say the glass half full or half empty or whatever. We have to change our mindset. It's all about mindset, how we look at things, and we have to be intentional about conversations and about our goals and what it is that we're trying to improve or to do. Because a lot of times there's no intent. You just like, oh, I just want to do it. But what is your intention to do that, or to say that, or to go about these things? When you have clarity and you have intent and purpose behind something, it takes whatever you're doing miles away. You're in a whole different ball game, because you're progressing because there was meaning behind it. So I love the fact that you said that, because it clears the air for a lot of people. Listen, it wasn't a mistake. It was an opportunity to not make the same mistake, to do something better, and you know what not to do. And even if it takes you 50 times, you know what? That 51st time might be the time, but each time you're doing it differently, so you'll know what the outcome is. So that's remarkable. I love
And
that.
I think it's important too, because, and I think when it comes to, when you're trying something and it doesn't work out, people
Hmm.
see it as a failure. I see it as you are trying, because there are many people
That,
that talk about the book, the job, the house, the this, the that, the business that they want to do, that they want to start. And here, in 5 years later, they're still talking about it. But then here you are, you're trying, you're trying, you're trying. And even though it's not quite working out, but at least you're trying. So
So
you're taking action, which makes a whole total difference.
I say it all the time. Elevation takes resilience. That's my hashtag. Elevation. You can't get anywhere unless you're resilient and persistent. Like, you have to continue to try. Lakeisha
Right.
says you only fail when you don't try. Absolutely.
Correct.
You can't
that's
try
true.
something one time, be like, okay, didn't work out, I'm done. No. If you have a mission or a goal, listen, I don't care if you tried 1,000 times. I try to go to the gym all the time. I don't make it, but I try. But it's still intense. It's that intent to do something better, to do something great. And if you continue to be resilient, it definitely will pay off. Time is of the essence. You just got to be smart about it.
Yep.
So true, so true. So I want to kind of spice it up a little bit, Maryann, because when we were talking about how wife, how life, you were saying that even in the midst of being married and everything and enjoying life together, it takes work. And I want to I think for a lot of people, they want to be married, they want to have this beautiful wedding and everything. And I saw a clip of a lady with I want to say maybe Judge Thatcher, I think, but at any rate, she was saying, the lady was like, I wanted $100,000 wedding. She was just like, but why? And she was like, well, I have standards. She's like, I have standards too, but not about that much money going into a wedding, because what's
Yeah.
more important is the marriage, but it takes work. And I think a lot of times we fantasize marriage. So what do you tell people who are ready to get married and just like, I'm looking for somebody and I want to be married, I want to be a wife?
Why? That's the first question, is like, why? What is the true reason? Like, so I had a starter husband. So, when I was younger, that
Mm-hmm.
lasted about 4 years. Remarried. My husband and I have now been together 16 years. We'll be married 16 years in August.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I think for me, when I was, 21, I think it was 2022, when I got married the first time, I did it because of what I was seeing in society.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
I did it. I already had a child. I had my oldest son. And for me, it was like, it didn't work out with his dad. He's willing to give me a shot. He wants to be married and, take my son as his. I better jump on this because it might not happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Ignored so many red flags that I that's a whole another book. And but life, I only knew what I knew then.
Right.
So hindsight is 2020, as the saying goes. Things, progressed on, had several various relationships that didn't work out, ended up meeting my husband. And for individuals that have been married, who've been married before, divorced, and, remarried, there's something about that next person that they kind of pay for everything else everyone else has done.
Ew.
So when I met my husband, I had just left a horrible relationship, had a trial run. Yes, exactly.
It was just
When I
practice.
had met my husband, I had just left a very horrible, toxic, and unhealthy relationship. But there was something that shifted in my mind because since I started dating at the age of 14, up until I met my husband, I've always been in and out of relationships. And when a relationship was not working out and I knew that it was just a matter of time, I would not, because of my insecurities, my lack of confidence, my mindset, I would not leave that relationship until there was a backup. And once I had that backup solidified, then I dumped that one and moved on.
Okay,
And when I was in that when I was in that
I didn't
relationship,
see that coming. I just want to put that out.
let me make sure I got this one in the bag first before I cut this
Right.
sucker loose.
right. So once I made the commitment to myself that I had to get out of that last relationship that I was in, I said, okay, God, enough is enough. I need to focus on me. I need
Right.
to focus on me. I need to focus on my children. There's obviously, I'm the common denominator in all these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something within me that I need to fix. So
Right.
help me fix that. So I
Mm.
started doing the work. I started doing the work. Lo and behold, I met my husband not long after. We met January, got engaged in April, got married in August, all in the same year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And years later, I think it was years later, we had a conversation like, oh, so when did you know? Blah, 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 blah. And like, why did you propose? And why did I say yes?
Mm-hmm.
And there were different reasons. His version, my version, different reasons.
Right.
I still played to that, what society was telling me.
Mm.
Now I had 3 children, 3 different dads, divorced. Who's going to want me?
Mm.
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 So I said yes again because I was still dealing with insecurities. Even though you come to a point where you start to reflect and you start to learn things, there's still a moment when you're like, but you still have these voices over here that you still tend to lean towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still leaning towards those voices.
Mm.
So I love my husband to death, and he knows that man will take off his shirt for, like, it could be 20 degrees below zero. And if he sees a cold person, he will take off his shirt and give it to that person. He has supported me through everything that I have gone through. And I feel that if it wasn't because of that support, I would not be here today. I would not where I am today.
Wow.
And it's because of his support, because of his belief in me. And we've had conversations. I mean, we've had the conversation about divorce and all of that because we got married quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but we're not going to walk away from this quickly. When
Oh.
those conversations happen, it's like, okay, time to put the phones away. It's time to go somewhere, lock it in, what's going on. And we just listen to each other. He will vent, say his stuff. I will say my stuff. Okay, it's on the table. So what are we going to do next?
Right.
Because not saying that divorce will never be an option if that happens. I mean, it is what it is. But for the moment, we tend to focus. I tend to focus on the here and now, take it one day at a time. Let tomorrow, focus on tomorrow. The past is the past. We're going to focus on today. So I think that that's one of the things, and he'll remind me every so often, sweetie, that was not me, and it's like, oh, okay, so, sweetie,
It's that
I
Emma.
understand where you're coming from, but I'm not the one that ticked you off. I'm like, my bad, and things like that. So it's just, so it's like when it comes to my husband, like I've had said things to him before that, when I talk to my girlfriends, they're like, you said what?
Oh,
Because again, we tend to think that our spouses are supposed to like know everything about us. But
mhm.
how can they if we don't talk about it?
That's
How can
good.
they know that something is going to trigger us if we had not had that conversation about our past?
Yeah.
He has his past and he has told me things that I'm like, what? But we share that in common because again, I want you to make the decisions that you want to make based on having a full open book. Everything is out in the open, so there's no guessing. And then, we just go from there.
I love that. That okay, I have to get this out. The fact that you when I see you, this sweet, beautiful face, when you said I couldn't let this one go, so I had this one. If we weren't on camera, I would have lost. What do you mean? But again, here I go. I'm like the world. Oh, she's so sweet. And not that you're not, but it was just funny to hear you say that. But I love it because you're owning it. Hey, this is how I felt. This is what I did. This is what got me through.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we shy away from the things that got us through. No, that's a part of who we are. That's how we make decisions. That shows our growth. That's where I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But this is where
Right.
I am today. So the fact that you can own that, and you can laugh at it like, hey, that's what I did. Probably wasn't the best decision, but hey, I learned from it. That's
Right.
the conversation that we had earlier.
Took them them big
People said
ones
do
right
them
there,
ones.
baby. Them be them quiet ones,
Listen,
girl.
but this is the quiet ones. But
The
but
quiet one. But
again,
listen, it's so funny
it's
because you don't think any differently from a job. Most times you don't leave a job until you get another job.
exactly. Don't leave one till you got one.
Right,
Right.
right.
But that mindset is okay, in certain things. And again, that's what worked for you back then. So it is okay. We shouldn't cast judgment on anybody. That was how you got through. And again,
Right.
if you didn't have those experiences and that different mindset, then you wouldn't be the queen that you are today. You wouldn't be the successful woman that you are today. You wouldn't be this spouse who is able to have these wonderful, sound, progressive conversations with your spouse, but also teaching your children the same thing. It's our experiences that we want to pour into our children and those around us because we've experienced something and it needs to be told. So the fact that you're an author, so that plays in. You have so many books, it plays into all the stories and experiences and the love and guidance that you're trying to pour into other people. I just think you are amazing. I just think that you're doing phenomenal work and you're
Thank you.
starting at home, which makes all the difference in the world. Because I can tell you anything, but the fact that I'm doing what I'm preaching to you, that's a game changer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I'm telling you, Miss Marianne, it's just a breath of fresh air to have somebody on here who can really just, put it out there.
Yes.
Uh, we deal with so much on social media, and you see what people want you to see.
Right.
But in reality, behind closed doors, different things go on, whether they're red flags, whether they're, opportunities to have conversations, and I know that, as you said earlier, when you and your husband met, you met in January, started dating, and then you guys were married, you said in August, right? So all in the same
Yep.
year.
Yes.
And sometimes a lot of people think it takes a long time. A lot of times you get and you make the decision, you get married, and to be honest, some of the marriages that happens faster last longer than the marriages that have been years and years and years of dating and meeting each other's families and all those things. So take your time to decide what it is that you want, because let's go back to what you said earlier, work on you, because when you know
Right.
you, it's a lot easier to know what you're looking for. It's a lot
Right.
easier to recognize what you want. And when you have your values in place, like you said, my top three things are this, and every move I make has to be in alignment with those values. If it's not in alignment with these values, then I just don't do it. If he comes along and he can't help me be happy and whatever, then you're just not the guy for me.
Right.
And so I think that, for a lot of women, it is important to spend time with you more so than trying to find a man, more so than trying to, get in relationships. Get to know you to the point to where if something comes along, your spirit should be like, that
Right.
shouldn't take you long at all, And if it's in a situation like yours where you meet somebody and things are lining up and y'all decide to make a move, don't be fearful of that. Don't feel like, how sometimes people tell you, well, if I were you, you're not me.
Right.
You don't know. You don't, you can't judge my life. But I see so many relationships that have, not been together long, and they are typically the ones that last a long time. Somebody just came on here and said, I know that lady, Busy Bee Logistics.
Oh,
Look, y'all
I
might have to
don't
look
know.
at it later on. And then Tina said, so glad I worked on my first because it's the only way I'm able to deal with my husband's personality. Worked on me first. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's
Know what you want first. And know
Yeah.
what you want, not what society tells you that you
right.
should have.
Correct.
I think that's where we get into a lot of issues when it comes to relationships, is that we're judging what society says is the hot thing.
Mhm.
Get a man that does this, then the third. But
Yeah.
if you know you, then you're going to be attracted to the person who is going to make you, like you say, fall in line with your values. It's going to make you make your life better as a result of being with them and knowing them. And a lot of times you may not want certain things, but you know what you need. And at the end of the day, when you're getting married, you marry what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Oh,
Because sometimes your wants can get you caught up. Now, I'm not telling you to go out here and do the wrong thing. I mean, not get anything that you want, because of course you want to be happy, but just sometimes take a pause back and realize that maybe you think you're independent and I don't need somebody to tell me what to do. But maybe you need a man who's a leader that can tell you, hold up, before you go out here and do all these things, let's have a conversation. Let me tell you X, Y, and Z, because I need to lead you. I'm the person, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't be the one to just take over all the time. You got to have a
right.
balance, and you got to be able to have a listening ear, because maybe you need somebody who is going to help you in that area versus you feeling like I'm independent. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. And then you popping off and that mouth is slick. Sometimes you got to have somebody who can help bring that in. So that may not be what you want, but it may be what you need. So, it just
And that
takes.
is so true. That is so true because I had that list of I wanted this, I wanted that, I wanted this, I wanted that. And God was like, okay, but you've forgotten about this, and this, and that.
Mm.
So I'm going to mesh the two. And thank God he did that because my list would have gotten me in trouble. And like you said, so for me, it was like, again, I'm truly blessed because my husband he's amazing. He's amazing.
I love that. And A Love, I want to go back to two things that you said. There are so many people in this world who has an opinion. And I think I've said this on the show before, and you'll probably hear me say it 1,000 times. I got this from the singer Monica. They say a lot of things, okay? But they do not move me. And I live my life with that same mindset. And I'm so honored that she made this comment she may not even remember, but she made it on the Ryan Cameron Morning Show. And, it was the concept of somebody's always going to have something to say. They're going to have their 2 cents, but they don't live the life that you live. They are not you. They can't order your steps. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
But a lot of people feel that their opinions and their words hold value. But we have to understand that nothing holds value unless we give it space.
mm,
And if you give them those stairs to make those steps, then that's on you. But see, I don't give too many people no stairs. You can't walk up. You can't walk up and make your life valuable, or your personality or your feelings or your emotions. I don't value them unless I choose to, and they have to be the right ones. So I wanted to make that point, but then you also just made a comment about happiness, and then earlier, Maryann, you said freedom. a lot of times we allow things to dictate our happiness. And I met a woman at my doctor's office 3 years ago, and she had a marriage situation just like yours, but it was way shorter. This woman had been with her husband at the time for 40 years. Do you know how long it took them to date and get engaged and get married? 3 days. Still together in 40 years. So again, it's what you feel. And when God brings that right person to you, those little things aren't going to matter. Those conversations that you said that you and your spouse have, that's what matters. That's God having that strand in your marriage saying, no, let's y'all talk about it. I'm sitting here in the background. You guys work it out, and he's planting his holy and goodness, his seeds
Yeah.
into both of you, so you can effectively communicate. Because we are emotional, but what makes it work is the two of you and just being humble and being willing to pour into your marriage. And that's where we fall short, because it's like everybody has an opinion about our relationship and about our marriages and our friendships, when really they really don't matter. It's what you feel. It's what that aura that they give off to you. Whatever you feel is what you should go with. Never go with someone else's opinion. And often we feel that we must do that. So I love the fact that you're open and honest enough to say, hey, I'm not going to go with whatever you're saying. I'm going to do what feels good to me. I'm going to express how I feel, and this is how I'm going to move. So even though I cracked the joke about your backup, hey, we have to do that. In different circumstances, we do have to plan and we have to act accordingly, but it's on our terms. And a lot
Right.
of people don't want to do that, or they're afraid to do that, and they're afraid to have that voice, as we talked about earlier, and say no. Whereas Maryann, you're like, no, I'm going to say no. I'm going to mean no. I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm going to have this communication. It's going to be effective because it means something to me, and I'm not worried about anyone else. And I just,
Yeah.
again, you are impressive, because a lot of us tend to shy away from that strong and bold personality. And we shouldn't. We should
Yeah.
own what we want to own and say what we need to say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because I
Correct.
can tell you your stuff stink, but I don't have to say, girl, you stink. I can be like, you know
Right.
what? Probably want to clean it up, touch it up a little. It's again, it's the
Yeah.
delivery. And
Correct.
people don't pay that attention.
Yeah.
I
Very
think
true.
you
So
are just amazing to me.
Oh, thank you.
dropped some gems, and it told us some things that I think can help a lot of
Yeah.
people. I know we're getting close to wrapping it up, and again, just super excited to have you as a co-author. For the Hot Wife, Hot Life anthology, we have an amazing group of ladies, and I'm super excited for everybody to really. Get the opportunity to just read some of the stories, how you met, or what's really important, or what does it mean to have a hot life. So Maryann, uh, at this point, if you had to give somebody some advice about being a hot wife, living a hot life, what would you tell them?
I will say, first and foremost, know who you are. Figure out what your values are and why those values. How
Mm-hmm.
do those values fit into your vision? And when it comes to, if you are somebody who has a partner or you're seeking a partner, ask yourself why. Why do you feel that you need to have someone in your life? Is it because something is missing and you're trying to fill a void? Or is it because you truly have identified and figured out who you really are and you're ready to step into becoming a girlfriend, fiance, and a wife? Because again, planning the wedding, that's the fun easy stuff, and literally you get dressed for a few hours, you say I do, the wedding is over, and then what happens next? Now you're stuck with this individual.
Right.
So it's figuring it out. And you have, if you decide to have children, those kids are going to eventually grow up and leave the house. You're going to be stuck with this person. So make sure that you get to know who you are deep down inside. And at the same time, if there are things, if you are already in a relationship and there's something that's a little shaky, something that's a little off, therapy is very important. My husband and I did therapy for a while.
Mm.
Marriage retreats, there are several retreats that we have done. And again, you have to purposely get out of your day to day so you can get a new perspective in life and things like that. And seek out role models, seek out mentors and things like that. And seek out, you just because you decide to become one with somebody does not mean that your goals no longer matter, that your passions don't matter, that you don't matter. One of the things that I like to say, and I say it on my podcast, anything that I'm on, remember that you are a priority and you matter.
Spoken like a true coach.
Yes. But it was so much in there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just the gems that were dropped because again, society you makes you think that, for women, once you get married, that's the end of you. You're still that individual woman. There's no end to you just because you get into a marriage. You're
Right.
still the person. And so you have to just, but again, that comes with maturity. It comes with, having a strong sense of self because it's easy. Y'all remember coming to America when it was like, what do you like? Whatever he
Whatever
likes,
you
what
like.
he wants, whatever he wants. A part of you gets caught up in that, and you got feel like you're in love and you want to just make them happy, but that doesn't last because it's going to be a point in time when you wake up and you look in the mirror, and if you don't know who you are, you've done a disservice to both of you because now
Yes.
you're no longer the person that they married.
Right.
You want to be able to have your own individual self and cultivate that because this person chose you because you were this amazing, magnificent, fabulous individual that you were.
Yes.
Don't lose that by trying to become what you think they want you to become. Because if that's the case, they wouldn't. Who you morph into is not who they originally got. So you want to make that.
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong. That's not saying that you don't grow because you're not going to stay stagnant. You're not going to be the same person that they married
Mhm.
5 years
Correct.
ago or 15 years ago or however long you've been together. There is going to be growth, but at the same time, growth to your original authentic self,
Right.
not growth to a made up character
Right.
that you feel
Yeah.
like you should be. And so that's one of the beautiful things I love about, just having these conversations because you get to really understand that it is more than just, oh, I love him and we're gonna get, because sometimes love can ebb and flow when it's talked about being in and out of in love. You're not always going to be in love. It's going to be things that happen where you sometimes even trying to struggle and think, do I even like this joker or not? But then you realize that, hey, something happens and he makes you laugh or y'all reminisce about something. You just like, you know what? I think I love you more now than I did when I first met you. It
Right.
is seasons and flows, and you have to be open to understanding that that's in any relationship. Marriage doesn't change that. You
No.
have that with your family, with your mother, father, siblings, you have those feelings, right? So
Ooh.
it's just about honoring who you are, honoring who they are, and Maryann, I just think that you have dropped, just some really good information on prioritizing yourself and just, communicating. Like you said, they can't read your mind. Open your mouth
Yeah.
and say something and have that good, honest conversation. It's not anything wrong with that. So I love that you dropped all the good gems. Marie, anything else you got for Miss Maryann? Because listen, I feel like this is Fearless Tuesday instead of
Right.
Fearless Friday. We got a Fearless Tuesday edition.
Right. No, I just want to say thank you. I agree. You provided some really good information. And again, what you shared, that's coaching material. That lets me know, listen, if someone is looking for a coach, they definitely need to reach out. You are very seasoned, and I love your responses. So thank you for coming on the show and chatting with us. But I would love, before you go, to tell people how to reach out, where to find you, give us a little bit more about your business and your upcoming podcast or
Yes,
continue.
definitely. Yes, definitely. So my website is maryannriveradannert.com, MaryannRiveradannert.com. My podcast is Fearless Fridays with Maryann. New episodes every Friday. For the most part, there's always a guest. My producer is pushing me to do more solo episodes, and it's on over 20 different platforms. On Facebook, MRD Empowerment Solutions, on Instagram, my name, MaryannRiveradannert.com, and just plugging along with the different projects that I have going. the different books that I'm working on. I am working on a solo book that I am working on some things. So I'm going to just say it. It's going to be out in the fall because again, when I put timelines on something, it just helps me be more accountable. So I'm putting out there to the world. My solo book will be out in the fall. And what else? And something else that I want to quickly say about marriage is that it is a daily commitment to yourself and to your spouse that you decide to make. Don't worry about celebrating 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Worry about celebrating today and giving it your all. And then tomorrow will come and you worry about tomorrow and so forth.
I love that. Look, dropping gems
Right
at
there.
the last second. Okay.
A
Love it.
daily commitment. That's right. A daily commitment. Y'all go to her website, Maryann Rivera-Dannert.com, and make sure that you connect with her. I'm telling you, the thing you said about therapy, a lot of people, are afraid of that, but it can be definitely very beneficial. So,
Yes.
really please connect with her because I think that some of the things she shared can really help a lot of people. And so we are so excited again to have you on here, Miss Maryann, and looking forward to more connections. Looking forward to tuning in to Fearless Fridays because I know you got some amazing people on there. And whether it's you by yourself or your guests, either way, we're going to learn something good. So we are excited about that. So listen, y'all, we're out of time. Make sure y'all tune in to know when we're going to get ready to release the Hot Wife, Hot Life Anthology. It is going to be coming very soon. And we got some big things, honey, getting ready to happen. We're going to have a beautiful gala. So everybody's coming to dress up. So we're going to put that information out so y'all can come and maybe meet us all in person. But it's just going to be great. And I just think, when women get together, especially wives, we get a chance to talk and share some things. And, it just helps bring about better relationships. And, marriage is a cornerstone of the community and society. So, for those of you who don't believe in it, hey, get with the hot wives and find out how to be a hot wife having a hot life and
That
not the other hot,
Not how wifing.
not that one. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Bye bye. Good
See you next
night.
time.